Digits2Widgets was born out of a dental surgery in Wimpole Street in central London, where the dentist Andrew Darwood first invested in some of the machines in order to help with his implant surgery. He could scan patients' jaws, and therefore his success rate was significantly better than it had been before. What we pride ourselves on at Digits2Widgets is that we will always talk to people about what they want to do and always try and help them to understand what they need to do in order to make their project a success. A full build of nylon SLS will take 36-40 hours just to build, and then you need to allow exactly the same amount of time for it to cool down. A lot of people want you to believe that it's fairly instantaneous. It's not. It's still a process. It still has to be made. A traditional process is much more appropriate. Very often CNC milling, laser cutting is more appropriate. 3D printing is not always the answer to the problem, and we'll always tell people that. But, I have to say that more often than not, they want to have a go anyway, so, we do it. If you want to make just a prototype or a representational model, then, 3D printing is generally fairly appropriate. If you want to produce something that then is produced by a 3D printer as a production object, the design has to have very, very specific characteristics to make that viable. It has to be not achievable in any other way. One of the main limitations of the technology at the moment is the limited range of materials that it can produce. And virtually all machines can produce just one material at a time. The materials are not like the ones that you would wish them to be, however they are what they are. And they do have their own characteristics, which everybody involved in the industry is still learning about and still trying to exploit. And there are one or two things that we've been involved with where the physical characteristics of a 3D printed material make it unique. And in order to do interesting things, you're having to be very creative with the design. Project DNA is something that a fashion designer called Catherine Wales came to us with about a year ago, whereby she had some very ambitious designs that involved feathers and also kind of corsetry. None of her pieces are printed in one piece. They are made up of components. We were using a combination of scan data from a body, which was then fitting these pieces around, and then using engineering software in order to make fittings and fixtures that held it all together. Her work is a really nice example of how irrelevant 3D printing is in terms of what it produces. If an object is stunning in its own right, the fact that 3D printer has anything to do with it is absolutely academic. Nobody's interested. And my vision of where it goes is not that there is a kind of universal machine that everybody has in their house. That's really depressing because, humanity has developed skills over millions of years and we don't want to lose those. 3D printers are just a tool that allow you to bring something else into the mix.